Hello, I'm Colby Smith. Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm back in the windy fens. This is where I am right now. You know, it's just shitty, windy, wet, flooded fens. Back here after the big day in London yesterday, where, you know, I've been on protest before. I mean, it was a good day. It was a good day. The TUC rally, that was packed out. There were loads of people there. You know, the unions, you had midwives, physiotherapists, doctors, GPs, nurses, rail workers, you know, tube drivers. You had a lot there. Good days, a good turnout. And then we, yeah, it was a good atmosphere. Marching bands, music playing, people were happy, cheering. You know, it was a good day. I think, you know, we really got ourselves a lot of solidarity. You know, you can feel the energy. You can feel other people's energy. You know, and it affects you with energy, and it makes you realise, you know, this is real. This isn't just a thing that you read about. Other people have happened in other people's lives. You know, these people asking for a pay rise. You know, on the news, you can't picture them. This is them. These are the real people. You know, the real people that have. You don't go down to London. People come down from Manchester, Birmingham, Newcastle. You don't do that for no reason. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, the real story of my day yesterday was the police brutality. We went down to Parliment Square, Occupy, UK Uncut. You know, we marched down there from Hyde Park after the rally. And we got down there, we had banners, signs, you know, we were occupying Parliament Square for, you know, calling for democracy, for real democracy, for direct democracy, not just a one vote every 4 years or a referendum every 50, 25 years or whatever. They're calling for real democracy, like a change, you know, accountability, the money out of politics, not, you know, the city, big money, capital, lobbyists controlling politics. People, the 99%, that's who they're calling for to control. You know, that's a cause for everyone, you know, that's an inclusive, everyone's in that cause. You know, we want to make the country, the world, the planet a better place for everyone. It's not like just a select group. You know, we're not doing it for ourselves. People don't do it for their own personal benefit. Like, for example, the unions, they want more pay rise. That's for themselves. But Occupy Democracy, they want this for everyone. And the police tactics, you know, they come out. They kind of started to kettle us as soon as we got there. And then they realised, you know, there wasn't much point because we were a peaceful protest. You know, we were sat down. We had Russell Brand just turned up. He just came out of nowhere. He was stood right next to me. I spoke to him. He was right there. You know, shook my hand, had a few words. You know, you had John McDowell MP there, spoke. He was the first speaker. You had Natalie Bennett, leader of the Green Party. She spoke. Rousing speech. Russell Brand spoke. You know, people sang with guitars. You know, we were just occupying the space. We were talking about, you know, and there was an assembly amongst us discussing, you know, how can us, this group here, on the middle of Parliament Square, how can we go from this to really, you know, having a democracy? How can we implement these ideas that surely everyone, these are, I mean, they're not new ideas. They're ideas that are already, that, you know. Apparently they are the ideas that are the foundation, the cornerstone of Britain, you know, democracy, equality, you know, equal rights, fairness, you know, a just society. They're things that we claim to have already in this country. We're not asking for anything new. And the police response to protesters sitting down, eating, having a nice time, the police response was to first kettle it, then they drew back the kettle. We were just impounded, should I say. You know, we were like animals. They wouldn't let anyone in. If you wanted to go out to go to the toilet, you couldn't come back in, basically. Bearing in mind, Parliament Square is a free public space. You know, I've been down there and sat there and had some lunch just like a few weeks ago. Just sat there casually on a nice day. We were doing nothing different from what I'd done a few weeks ago. We were just sat there talking, which you can do in Parliament Square. And the police basically were looking for a reason to get rid of us from the very start. They didn't want us there. They didn't They just didn't want us there for the sake of not wanting us there. You know, if we'd have caused a problem, if we'd have, like, you know, if there was violence, you know, violent behaviour, you know, drunkenness, drugs, you know, fair enough. The police are within their rights to come in and say, you know, what's going on here? You know, stop, arrest the offenders. We weren't causing any harm, but they wanted to stop us for the sake only of stopping us. You know, no other reason than stopping the protest, a peaceful protest. We had banners, we had these towers that said Occupy Democracy on them, you know, people power. And they distracted us by storming in and trying to steal our PA system. And then while everyone was looking at that, they took our towers, which apparently they cost £600 each. The police tipped them over and they sort of took them away. They were bamboo towers. I just saw the police stamping on them, breaking them up. You know, they stole we had a little sign there that said, this is a a safe zone, this is a drug and alcohol free zone. Please, you know, bring your families down. They took that sign down. We had a sign saying democracy now. They took that down. I mean, what harm is that causing? And then this is when they stepped it up, you know, they barged in. We'd formed a circle. We were closed ranks, so, you know, we tried to stop them from infiltrating. But they went in with about 30 officers, barged in through the ranks. You know, there was a scuffle. I think they were trying to take the PA system. They were trying to take the tarpaulins that were keeping people from, like, sitting on wet ground. Trying to take the tarpaulin from underneath people sitting on them, like, snatching them, dragging them. You know, and they were barging in. There was no room in there. We'd made it so there was no room for them to barge in, but they just found a room. You know, I saw one guy who had to go to hospital just from the police barging in, and then as they realised they were in too deep, they tried to get out, and the only way they could get out was barge back out. You know, they didn't care. There were people on the floor, like, sat down with their children, you know, just having a sit down, doing nothing else but sitting down. And they were just barging through. Like, I see one guy, the guy that had to go to hospital, he was live streaming it. He was live streaming afterwards. But, you know, the police just fell on top of him, just smashed him in the head. You know, he was like, afterwards, he was just laying there like that. He had like a headache. He had to go, something wrong with his neck apparently. He had to go to hospital. You know, and then, you know, they stole all our stuff basically. Took that off site. And then they turned up with these heritage wardens, which are apparently the representative of the London Council. And they came down and they were picking on people one by one. The people that were like, not in the circle, like joined hands, they were coming up to them, and the heritage warden was talking to them, you know, giving them instructions, and then the police was surrounding them and then like forcing them to leave. And then I was just sat in a chair, and then the same thing happened to me. The heritage warden, literally, I was sat in a chair, 7 or 8 policemen, tall, big policemen, came, surrounded me. I couldn't move. They were surrounding me, like, at close quarters, shining a light right in my face. Bearing in mind this is like 10 o'clock by now, so it's dark. They're shining a light right in my face. I can barely see who I'm talking to. They've got a camera right here in my face, filming everything I'm saying, shouting in my ear, basically. The heritage warden saying, you have been ordered to move on because the grounds are closed for maintenance because the grass is dying. The ground's closed for maintenance. I'm asking you to move on. So I refused to move on. And then the police are saying to me, so now that you've refused to comply with this direct order from the heritage warden, because you have failed to comply, you are liable for arrest. And I said, I'm liable for arrest because, you know, they pinned round, they cordoned the area off for maintenance, for repairs, they said, the day before the occupation was begin to start. They're telling me they didn't know that, you know. And then they're saying, because it's closed for maintenance, we can't be on there. And because we haven't moved on, I'm liable for arrest. He said you can either be arrested now, or we can take your details and give you a court summons at a later date. So I said, well, I'm not moving. And they said, well, we're going to arrest you unless you give us our details. So they basically forced me to give them their details, verified my details and that. And I said to the guy, you've got 200 police here, probably more. I counted 15 riot vans. That was when I left, when the police were at their lowest numbers. 15 riot vans with 10 police in them each, 150 officers. You had about 8 officers surrounding me right there. I'm saying you're telling me all of this is to comply with a gardening act. You know, for maintenance of grass. You're telling me you're going to do all this effort to uphold the will of a groundsman. Seriously? The Met Police wasting all that time. They had helicopters out. And that's what that was their reason for moving us on, because we were interfering with maintenance and gardening of grass. I'm saying, you know, this is a peaceful protest for democracy. You know, we're the things that are going on in our government, in our planet, you know, this. And you're telling me, on the scale of 1 to 10, I said to the police officer, on the scale of 1 to 10, you know, 10 being, you know, mass terrorism, murder, and 1 being where we're at now, me stopping a person from maintaining the grass outside Parliament Square. You know, can you not use your judgment and say this is a crime that's not worth punishing someone for? That was the excuse. You know, that is the depths they will go to stifle. That was nothing more than just trying to stop a peaceful democratic process. That's the depths they'll go to. You know, they'll nitpick at the law. You know, find any reason they can for moving you on. Later on, I'm speaking to a lawyer, and he says, no, that they cannot use that. That is not. He said that's not legitimate whatsoever. But you know, it's clear that it's a political police force. You know, we were sat there. If we were sat there protesting in favour of MPs' pay rise or more power to the monarchy, do you think the police would come down and like, you know, be that brutal with us to like try arrest people for getting in the way of gardening? Really, that is the state they've gone to. That's the, you know, that is, it's ridiculous. You know, you can't, you know, these laws have been made. You know, they put these laws there to stop protest. You know, we're anti-capitalist protest, anti-neoliberalism protest, you know, favour of democracy. You know, and all 3 of the main parties that write law in this country are neoliberalists, capitalists. So, yeah, obviously they're going to want the police. I mean, there's no discussion. They're like, do we want the police to destroy these anti-capitalist protests? Don't know, we'll ask Labour, well, we're capitalists, so yeah, destroy them. We'll ask the Conservatives, yeah, we're capitalists, so destroy them. Lib Dems, yeah, we're capitalists, so destroy them. UKIP, yeah, we're capitalists, destroy them. They haven't got a chance. You don't stand a chance. You've got every, you know, the majority of politicians in this country buying into the capitalist dogma. You know, what chance do we have? You know, in the end, we fought back. We fought for long enough. The police gave up. You know, we had solicitors representing the Occupy movement were on the phone to the Met Police saying you've got no legitimate right to move these people on. There's a peaceful protest, and in the end, you know, they were blocking people from coming into the square. And in the end, the police just left. They got the orders through. People flooded in. You know, and then we started to discuss whether they're staying for the night. But the police, I mean, come on. It's brutal, you know, political police, stifling political dissent. You know, they were waiting for it. And they were happy. Some of these police were laughing at us, you know, goading us, saying, oh, it's raining now, where are you going to go now? You know, goading us for our views, saying, this is ridiculous, you know, what are you doing? I mean, they're human beings, you know, it's not the individuals. The individuals in the police, you know, there are some like power-hungry people, but, you know, the majority of them are just, they're normal human beings who just work for a living, working people. But the system, the police force, overall, the direction that they're pointed in, by not, they're probably the people that are above them, is sickening. We need the police on our side if we're going to make any, you know, how can you have, if the police let us be, and we could just occupy that space, cause no harm, you know, we'd get our message across, but they're stopping us from even getting our message across. It's sickening. You should be ashamed of yourself. The Met Police, if I get a summons through my door telling me to go to court in London because I interfered with grass maintenance, it was 10 o'clock at night, they weren't doing any, there wasn't a guy out there sowing grasses at the time. But yeah, I'll see you in court, Met Police. If you want me to come down there and garden Parliament Square as part of my punishment, fair enough. I'll buy a bag of grasses, they're about £2. Thank you very much.